Good morning. It's a great morning. I have to work soon, but I'm trying to finish editing a chapter before going to work. And I realized, I haven't blogged in forever because A, I'm either never home, B, my roommates are home and I feel weird vlogging when they're here, or C, which is probably the most true one, I'm just pretty fucking terrible at vlogging, so there we go. So I'm editing my book Stereo right now, and I wanted to give some tips on how I edit books and stuff and stories, because this is my third novel that I have, or it's my third novel that I'm working on publishing, and I've already published two. So each book has been different. With Swallow, I wrote Swallow originally as a short story that was 8,000 words exactly for a contest at my college when I was attending. And when I expanded the short story into novel length, I did that in 15 days. And it was really easy. I just put out 50 plot points, really simple one-liners, and then bam, novel in 15 days. It was just a really important story for me to tell. And so when I was editing Swallow, I edited it maybe 3 or 4 times of just reading through it, fixing some errors, and I still miss some errors, but sorry, I have this hair. If that's distracting anyone, don't pay attention to that hair when it falls back down again. But so it was really easy because I just had to go through and fix grammar and spelling and stuff. I didn't have to change the story at all. It was perfect. With the openers, it originally started as a book called Fixed Blinker. And there was a lot of details that was different inside of it. There were a lot more chapters. There's about 76 chapters instead of 31. And it took me about half a year to write, because I stopped to write, a nano in the middle of it, and I was stuck at one point, and I finally kicked my butt into gear and finished writing it. So I was having a hard time just going through and editing it like I did Swallow. It was really impossible for me. It was just oh gosh, this is so terrible. I don't know what to do to fix all this stuff in here that bothers me. So what I ended up doing is, for Camp Nano in July, I rewrote the openers. I sat down, I went through my document, and I laid out what happens in each of the 76 chapters. Paragraph detail of this happens, this is what is said in this chapter, important things. And then on different pieces of paper, I wrote out a new layout for it. Since I already knew what was going to happen in the story, it was easy because it was okay, chapter 1 is the first 3 chapters into one chapter. Really easy for me to do. And then I just sat down and I rewrote the whole thing with my documents side by side on my computer, so I could see in the openers that, this was happening as I was writing it, and in Fixed Blinker this was happening. And obviously the name Fixed Blinker doesn't even appear in the openers, or else it would be called Fixed Blinker. But it's not anymore. So that was really easy for me. And then I just had a couple people read it, and they helped me catch all the grammar and spelling, and then I, edited that and then published it. So with Stereo, the one I'm doing now, Stereo I wrote for a nano. I wrote most of it for a nano, about 65,000 words of it for a nano. It ended up being about 80,000 words. So I finished it after nano, but so going through and editing it is difficult for me because I'm catching that I have a style. Everyone has a style with writing, but sometimes I have a style with characters. So I'm going through and I'm trying to change. I decided that I want to change a couple of the characters' hobbies kind of thing. Instead of this character liking painting, she's into graphic design instead. So I need to go through and change that. And I was starting to try to figure out how I was going to do that with my original document. And so I decided, with the openers, rewriting it. So I've been rewriting this book. And it is so much easier to rewrite it than to go through and edit it, because I can look at this paragraph and read a paragraph and be wow, why the hell did I phrase it like that? And then rewrite it differently to where it flows better. The dialogue is so much better. The way the story is going, I feel, is just pushing it forward more, hopefully. So when you're editing a book or a story of any kind, or more than one, you don't have to edit it the same way. You can do your editing differently, just like you do your writing differently. Just like you eat pizza with your hands and you eat noodles with a fork. It's just, you don't have to do it the same. I don't edit my stuff the same way my roommate, Ashton, edits her stuff. I don't edit the same way any of my other friends who write edit their stuff. It's just different. And that's okay. I really do strongly suggest, if you're struggling getting through editing something, if it's just like, oh, like this just doesn't feel right, rewrite the whole thing. Put your documents up side by side, rewrite it all. I think it really helps you get an idea of what you want instead, and you get to see how you phrased it before and then figure out how you want to phrase it now. The other thing I suggest doing when editing a book is, after you finish the first draft of the book, put that book away for a while. Like, a long while, a couple months worth. You know, Stephen King said this too. When you're done with a document, a story of any kind, put it away. Let it ferment. Let it grow mold. I don't care. Let it do something, so when you look back at it again, you're looking at it with fresh eyes and you're just like, wow, my writing style has changed since then, or my editing style has changed since then, or my idea has changed since then. It all works, but let it sit for a while, because then you get to see it a different way and it becomes easier to edit and catch things like changing me's to my's and vice, you know, all those little things. Let it sit. That's my biggest advice. I let Stereo sit for almost a year now, or half, I don't know, a while. I let Swallow sit for about a year as well, and the openers sit for about a year. And I just worked on other projects in between. It's really easy to just pick up a new idea, go do something else, or even just like read like 4 or 5 books between your first draft and your second draft. It just helps. That's my advice for you today. Your writing tip. I don't know what number this is because I'm pretty terrible at keeping track of what numbers everything is. But I hope everyone has a great day. I hope you can hear me over my computer doing this like whirring sound or whatever it wants to do right now. Other than that, have a fantastic day. Oh, and as John Green and Hank Green would say, don't forget to be awesome.